So hello, glad to see you at my talk and glad to be at Pocket Gamer Connects again. So this time I'm going to tell you about game jams. Well, I shouldn't tell in details what game jam is, especially in Finland, because the country which has the most number of created games during game jams per capita. But let's discuss what game jam participation can do to you and how can it help in your game development and professional growth. As for me, I'm Alexey Izvalov. I'm a regional coordinator of Global Game Jam for Eastern Europe. I started from Ukraine and now covering several other countries. Also, I'm CEO of Science Park Flight Cities at Flight Academy, and I do developer relations for FGL and make my own games, already 30 of them, as Airport Game Developer Studio. So perhaps you met me at some of the internet forums or Facebook groups. What is game jam in brief? First, it's a game development jam session. Like jam session is a term from music, where music bands collected and made some music creations. And this is the creations in game development. There are strict time limits, and there is the rule usually to build the game from scratch. And the theme is announced at the start, and the game should be made according to the theme. So there is no restriction for tools, for teams, for technology, and work is usually shared with the community, making the game jam a very useful learning tool in game development. And not necessarily game jam is a contest, so sometimes people just gather just for fun. So for me, why am I talking about game jams? Is because as a participant, I got to top 100 in innovation in Ludum Dare twice. Also I participated in Congregate Game Jam, Kanobu. And also I was a judge at Game Jam and Indie Cups, and as an organizer at Global Game Jam Ukraine. So it appears that people like game jams because at Ludum Dare we have 3 times a year about 3,000 participants. At Global Game Jam has reached 37,000 participants once a year. Also there are such interesting jams as one game a month, where every month 500 people make their games and submit. There are physical gathering game jams like Northern Game Jams with 900 participants. Once a year they gather together and make games. One interesting game jam is also Train Jam. It takes place 1 year every year before GDC, when the people don't fly to San Francisco directly, but they fly to Chicago and then take a train, and all those 52 hours to go to San Francisco by train, they create games and then showcase it at GDC. But why people like jams? Because jam is a community event. And especially it's useful for us as game developers, programmers to establish new connections in the industry. Because game jams is not only for the programmers. There are also artists, composers, designers come to the jam. It's a great place for students to establish connection. And you can even find headhunters from the companies who want to hire someone. It's a place where press can find games to highlight. And all these people are interconnected during this intense 48 hours event. So why games made at game jams differ from the games created during regular development? Because when you have an idea, like there are many stories when the beginning team gathered together and let's make a game about something. But we can compare this process as if we have a superheated vapor which has energy, but if it's in an open space, it just dissipates the energy and the initial impulses just got lost. But if we apply such limits as time, as theme, as some diversifiers, some other limits, then your idea will skyrocket, and it will create, you will create a very innovative and interesting game to play. So we run a case study of game jam projects and a poll for game jam participations, and we can define a formula what means a successful game jam participation for many jammers. It is to make a fun and innovative game which reflects the theme. In this order, the jam participants selected the top criteria of judging. So first, fun, because the games must be fun. Then innovative, because why to spend 48 hours of intense coding to make the same what you do at regular work? It must be innovative. And of course, as jam rules, it must reflect the game jam theme. There are also other judging criteria like style integrity, like intuitivity, mood, fun, and they are judged at some of the game jams such as Ludum Dare. There is a wide variety of game jam themes, and I suggest you to review a complete list and try to think how can I make a game which will reflect the theme. One or two tasks we will do right now. Just wanted to say that beside the game jam themes, there are also game jam diversifiers in many of them. So it's an optional task, which is also a great exercise in game design. So for example, to make a game which can be played with one hand, it will be ideal mobile game for transport when you go in a tram. To make a game which will use only 4 colors. So it's a great exercise in design if you don't, because limits foster creativity, as I just said. So let's make one exercise. So imagine in our time zone, this theme was from Ludum Dare 35. So in our time zone, the theme is announced at 5 a.m. in the morning. So imagine that you woke up at 4:50, open your browser, hit F5, 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 you see 404 page not found because many people come to the website to check the theme. And then you see the theme is Shapeshift. Just think, what game would you make? So there are many developers and ISL suggest to make a game about a hero who could change the shape and solve different tasks. But after that, that was also my original thought for this theme. But after that, I recalled that 2 years before that Ludum Dare, there was a Flash game dev Cup 3 with the theme Transmutation, and the winner was Transmorpher game, exactly with this idea interpretation. And by the way, this game is also an example of success story of game jam creation, because after Transmorpher 1, they released Transmorpher 2 and 3, and they hit the top places on the Flash game portals. So, but not to recreate the existing projects, I started thinking further. This is my creation, which got number 68 in innovation. You have such a chain. You can set the circles to the certain positions, and then your story will evolve this, to reflect what shape you selected. My game was number 68, but another developer also had this likewise idea, but he made a better style, less elements, but better style integrity, so his game appeared to be 42 in innovation and 55 in overall. And here is the winner. I will show an animated gift card. So here, the developer thought of Shapeshift. It is a really ultimate Shapeshift game because the window is changed and it reflects the gameplay. So this is how to creatively use the game jam theme. So some other fun examples, like theme from Congregate Jam 2016, theme Attraction. So one of the winners used attraction in as term as attraction, a gravity, and another, it seems to me it was a people choice. You are an owner of a circus, then you invest money to make attractive performance, and at the time the visitors look at the performance, you pickpocket them. And then you get more money. Yeah, so that was the people's choice. So there are, to inspire making games during game jams, I can share a few more success stories like Ancient Technology, Ancient Warfare, is now in Steam. It passed green light and is successfully sold in Steam. The game's response by What Do We Do Now theme in Game Jam 2015 is also in Steam. It was also already 2 sequels successfully sold. The game, a reflection to the theme Greed. This game, Handless Millionaire, so you see the gameplay, very fun and unusual gameplay. You have to get the money through the guillotine. So it was not completed during the jam, but the developer anyway released it, and it has now 2 million downloads in Play Market, and you see the ratings. So this year the Global Game Jam theme was Waves. There is the winners of Global Game Jam Ukraine, and one more benefit you can get for Game Jam participation is that many conferences are searching for fresh games, and these are our winners. They got a free ticket to our partner Malmö Nordic Game. And this students team was formed at Global Game Jam 16. Then they made to first place in Global Game Jam 17, and now they're working as a student startup, making games further and further again, and they showcase their game in Prague. So what Game Jam can do to the beginner developer? First, to make completed game, because many teams start and making games unlimitedly, but you have very strict time limits and to ensure the game will be completed, and then you can put it into your portfolio. You can learn by analyzing the sources of the winning games. You can find partners for future work and test them right now. So to avoid spending much time to test, will I be able to work with this person or not? You are in very extreme condition, and you will see how your possible partner will work in a very extreme condition. And to establish connection in game development, of course. For the experience, it's very useful to jam as well, because you can experiment. You can make something what you always wanted to make, but didn't have time, and you can test yourself in extreme work conditions. And especially what was true, first was true for me, you can break through your skill plateau. So after jamming, you will find additional source of energy. And you can promote your studio as game jam participation and winner. So, and the main thing what you get after the jam, this knowledge is that I can make the game within 48 hours. I think this is the most important thing you receive after completing the game jam. Of course, this is a very important but very dangerous knowledge, because if you have deadline in 30 days, you can say, I can make a game within 48 hours, so I will start making on 28th day. But still, great power means great responsibility. So, for the game jammers, you should plan your work. You should know how to cut off unnecessary features. You should be able to plan ahead, and even if you are not at your computer, you can start. Your brain will continue working. And game jams teach us how to prototype. And even if your game works at squares and triangles, it will be. You will see that it's working, it will give you additional impulse to continue. And a very useful advice also to share your work in Twitter and check, or even Twitch, and check other channels, so you will see that you are not alone. This gives you additional boost of work. So, but you should say, look very carefully at the game jam announcements, because sometimes this comic says, sometimes you have very much work to do, and you put your regular work aside just to participate in game jam. So this is considered to be not a very good practice. So because if you have a current project, you should use jam as an additional impulse to complete it instead of starting something new. So I skipped some of the game jams but I used this game jam work in the game jam mode to complete my other games. And this is my newest game, Strategization. This is why I skipped one of the Ludum Dare. So, Game Jam prizes, I just want to translate you this webcomic. The pirate in the chest, they found a note. You're searching for money, but you have something more than money, a friendship and experience which you got during the search for treasure. And the pirates say, yes, yes, really, this is more than money. So that's what we typically get after Game Jams. There are also some prizes which will help you to get your game released. And many of the Game Jam organizers cooperate with conferences, with game development tool providers. So there are prizes that are not usually monetary, but very useful. And we organize Game Jams. So here is how to check nearest jams. And I think Game Jams make game dev great again. Thank you for your attention.